I am DYANAROZAY, and I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. If you are not a subscriber, please become one. Hit that notification bell too, that way you don't miss any of my videos. I go by DYANAROZAY on all platforms, and I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. What's up, Supreme Team? Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I was debating whether or not to go live or to pre-record a video, but it is much easier to go live nowadays. So that is what I am doing. I just wanted to share with you guys that the feds have lost big time. Okay, the feds lost this case big time. Huge loss. I was actually sitting waiting for a press conference from the prosecution, just the way they did the press conference to say they were bringing Diddy in, but they have not said anything yet, and we are still waiting to see if Diddy will be given bail so that he could go home today. Okay, so if y'all can hear me, please let me know. Put a 1, something into the chat real quick so I can make sure that you guys can hear me. I do want to read a letter from Cassie Ventura's lawyers. They had some things to say. Hey, Fashawn, thank you. I appreciate you, Queen, for letting me know that you can hear me. Come on in, come on in. So yeah, we are talking about P. Diddy and how this man pretty much beat damn near all of those charges, at least the more serious ones anyway. The ones that could have gotten his entire fortune seized. Okay, billions upon billions of dollars. He's a billionaire, and his kids was in the courtroom every day. But if he would have been found guilty of that RICO, the government could have seized everything: his mama's house, the house that his children live in, all of those bank accounts. And baby, when I tell you they were on a freeze already, they were on a freeze. And now he has been found innocent of the RICO. Yesterday, when I was on live, we were talking about how one of the jurors, it was said that one of the jurors was holding out. The jury came to the judge and said, listen, we are at a deadlock. There's no way we're going to be able to make it. The judge pulled what's called an Allen charge. An Allen charge means take your ass on back to the deliberation room and work this out. He's basically forcing them. Now, a lot of courts do not use the Allen charge. I think it's usually reserved for federal, but they don't use it because they feel like, the one holdout, the one person that's not going with the group, that they could be bullied or pushed into it. But they ended up coming back. Now, from what I understood yesterday, they said it was all guilty except for one. And what we are finding out is that only 2 charges, 2 of the least severe charges, were found guilty. Not guilty on RICO, which is what they needed for a federal case in the first place. Not guilty on RICO. Not guilty on trafficking, both Cassie and Jane Doe, who some believe to be 50 Cent's baby mama, Daphne Joy. And he was found guilty on transportation of Cassie and Jane Doe. So the 2 guilty charges hold a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison, but he could do less, just the maximum. The max he could do would be 10 years. However, being that this is a first-time offense and the other charges were not guilty, he could walk. He might get 6 months. He might get 2 months. He might get nothing. Okay. So this is horrible, to be honest. Typically, when feds pull a charge, you are going to jail for something when the feds get involved. So let me see what you guys had to say. Hopefully, y'all took the quiz at the top. What's up, everyone? I knew the feds would lose on the major charges from the jump. That's what Dana S said. Did you, Dana? I stopped listening after a while because it did feel like some things was going wrong. I would listen every once in a while to certain content creators on TikTok, because they seem to have a lot of tea. There was a lot of people in the courtroom over there on TikTok, but they were all they kept saying Cassie's not a perfect victim. Daphne is not a perfect victim. And as soon as that started, I said, you know what? Women, this is the reason why women do not tell. Okay, this is the reason why they don't press charges, because there are no perfect victims nowhere. But sometimes people get it in their head. She liked it, that type of thing. She liked it. That's what she was asking for too. So how is this, a guilty charge? And sure enough, that's pretty much what they said. Let's see. Queen, this is a setup. Remember, he knows too much. We know how this is going to play out. Won't say nothing more, but it ain't over. Okay. Jail ain't safe. Look at what's happening to R. Kelly. Dana said, yes, I did. He escaped man's judgment. Understood. I follow the tea on TikTok. Mike's Law and I'm Her gave the tea. Yeah, I followed the tea on TikTok, and I was saying, oh, this is that right now, because the women, Daphne and assuming it's Daphne, I think most people think so, and Cassie, I said they're expecting a perfect victim. They're expecting a perfect victim, and sometimes. Well, I shouldn't even say sometimes. We all have to get it in our head that there are no perfect victims when it comes to stuff like this. People do this a lot to great victims, saying things like, well, look at what you were dressed, how you were dressed, what you were wearing, you asked for it. Sometimes people do it to kids. You think you're grown, you act grown. Listen, when someone gets into a abusive relationship, they start doing things that they wouldn't do normally. Sometimes it's easy for them to just follow the protocol. So that's what I was thinking. And I said, you know what, something tells me that they're not going to get what they need. Let's see. They didn't have enough evidence for the greater charges. A lot of people are saying that as well. They're saying at the end of the day, there wasn't any, the government may have just, they overstepped their hand. They overplayed their hand. They're going to watch him like a hawk. Well, he should be. There's a lot of people that's kind of scared. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people know that Diddy did have some power, that he did do certain things. The men that were coming into the courtroom to testify, they were afraid, right? A lot of people were afraid. But let me tell you guys what Cassie's lawyer has posted following hearing not guilty charges for ex-trafficking her, okay? Ex-trafficking and RICO. This is what Cassie's lawyer has stated. He said, this entire criminal process started when our client, Cassie Ventura, had the courage to file her civil complaint in November of 2023. It's 2025. I didn't even realize it's been that long, but November 2023. Look, P. Diddy could get out on time served already. It goes on to say, although the jury did not find Combs guilty of ex-trafficking Cassie, beyond a reasonable doubt, she did pave the way for our jury to find him guilty of transportation in regards to prostitution. By coming forward with her experience, Cassie has left an indelible mark both on entertainment and fighting for justice. We must repeat with no reservation that we believe and support our client, who showed exemplary courage throughout this trial. She displayed unquestionable strength and brought attention to the realities of powerful men in our orbit and the misconduct that has persisted for decades without repercussion. This case proved that change is long overdue, and we will continue to fight on behalf of survivors. So that was her statement coming from her lawyers earlier today, following not guilty on the trafficking charge. Okay, so basically the jury thought that they participated and that they may have been willing participants. Um, let's see. No more penalties for the diddler. They could run him back his bottles of baby oil. Sorry. Yeah, they can run those back. Remember, he knows secrets of politicians and they helped with the verdict. You think so? You think so? I think the politicians are the reason his ass is the prosecution moved as quickly as they did to put him behind bars, to be honest. But anyway, let me tell you guys some other things that happened in the trial. The judge, they said that after he was found not guilty, they said that the gallery was heard loudly clapping and cheering for Sean Combs as he was led back into his holding cell. So they were clapping and cheering for him, which I'm assuming for the victims again. This is the stuff that makes you not want to tell, period. You just want to keep it to yourself sometimes because of this type of shit. People don't always see celebrities as human. They are above the law for a lot of people. This should be a warning to the culture. This should be a warning to all cultures. Politicians, listen, Nika, politicians get away with this type of stuff all the time. Sometimes people don't get to, leave with their life. They have them offed. Like we have to pay attention that this isn't just a black thing, or you know what I'm saying? This shit has been going on since Jesus was wearing flip-flops. You know what I mean? This is just one of those things. This happens a lot. And we have to pay attention, we the people, because we're in charge of this. There was a jury that went back and said these victims weren't perfect or not perfect enough for them to file charges, okay? What else? A lot of people, again, just said that they didn't believe that the prosecution did their job. They didn't do enough to prove their charges. So that was up there. The judge, like this is another thing that was said. Apparently, the prosecutors were shocked. The prosecutors were shocked with the jury's verdict. They honestly expected Diddy to be found guilty. They thought they put on a complete, message. This message is if you're rich, you can get away with anything. You think this is what this message is? What would you say the message for the president of the United States? That man is sitting in the seat right now after being found guilty of how many federal charges, on top of having to pay out a grape case? President for a second time. It won't necessarily stop the parties if everyone is a consenting adult. 34, over 34, thank you. 34 guilty verdicts, okay? Way more than the 5 that P. Diddy had. And how many people? 79 million people? Crazy. How could he be found guilty of trafficking, but of not guilty of trafficking, but of transporting? Because the truth of the matter is they did not find the ladies credible. The defense's argument was they were willing participants. And even though they did a great job of bringing in a psychiatrist to talk about Stockholm syndrome and how sometimes, you'll participate in that type of stuff, it's really hard for people to understand it. A lot of people feel like if that's not what you want, if you don't like it, don't do it. But they basically made it seem like the women were dependent on his wealth, or they stayed involved in the relationship and did things that he wanted him to do, or they even may have wanted to do because they liked the lifestyle. And I will say that they probably answered questions that would suggest such. From what I'm understanding, people said that Daphne was not that great of a witness, that she seemed to lean in to a lot of what Diddy's team was accusing her of, whereas Cassie was just, she was more of a sympathetic victim. I will say that. And that's what people want to see. We watch a lot of TV. We watch people cry on cue, and we think that that's what's supposed to happen when it's, going down in real life. We're unable to separate those two things. We think that that's real. We want people to. I remember when the Mike Brown case, the young man that was shot down by police in St. Louis, the way people was dogging out his mama, the women that would get up in the press and say, that lady put on a whole wig and lipstick. These were white women, by the way. And I was like, oh my God, that does not mean she's not grieving her son. Like, what are y'all talking about? But people have an image in their mind of what they think a person should do when they're grieving. You couldn't possibly be grieving this person. You couldn't possibly be a victim of something if you don't do X, Y, and Z. How could he not be guilty? Oh, I read that. His daughters may think it's okay to do some things their dad did to others. It looks like they still have some charges coming down the pike. I know I saw some things about him and his son as well. But anyway, I was saying to you guys that the prosecution did expect him to be found guilty, and they were shocked. P. Diddy has been transported back to the prison cell, waiting for information on if he will receive bail. His lawyer said he definitely deserves it, should receive it, has been in jail for well over a year and some change. And they said he's not stupid. He's not going to run. He understands what's going on here. The judge was actually disappointed that the prosecution wasn't prepared for their next steps. So he's meeting with them to see what they are recommending as a sentence. And the judge can accept it, or he could reject it completely and, give what he believes they deserve in this case. But this is what's going on, child. A hot mess. The judge says, I think it makes sense that Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC. That's the prison. He is shaking his head. So 1 p.m. letters will convene in this afternoon, and I'll let the parties know when. And he's basically saying that we should have this together. He should know today whether or not he goes home or he stays. He should know whether or not today if he goes home or if he stays. But as of right now, if he makes bail, it will be a shame. You think so? What would they hold him on? Is your name Marnice? That's a pretty name. Marnice, what do you think he should be held on at this point? He's been found not guilty of all of the serious charges. That means he's not considered a threat. Before they were holding him because they considered him a threat, but he's been found guilty of all of the most serious charges. Let's see. Do we know how many men were on the jury? In my opinion, this is sad. When it comes to women that's been abused in abusive relationships, it's a loss for women that's been abused by men with money and power. Definitely does not deserve bail. His lawyer says he's not stupid. That's laughable. He wouldn't be there otherwise. Please, no bail. Lucky, he may be going home for good. The judge may not even give him time. He's been in jail for over a year, and he's been found not guilty of the most serious charges. If he spends any more time in jail, it could be as little as 6 months, could be less than that. This man is, for the most part, free. this is over. The trial is done. The verdict has come back. There were 4 men on the jury. So out of 12 jurors, 4 men. Is that what you're saying, Dana? Out of 12 jurors, there were 4 men. Wow. So it was women who made this claim here. Okay. So there you have it, you guys. 8 women. 8 women said not guilty. 8. It's different for everything. Y'all remember the R. Kelly trial when they were talking about the ages of the girls, and I think they said something like, I don't know, maybe she was 14 or 15, couldn't even make a decision for herself. But when one of the jurors saw her on the lady on the stand, who I think was a little older at the time, he said, based on how she was dressed, based on how she was dressed, he said, I thought that's what she wanted, right? These are people too. It's possible he could be released on time served. Could be. Just because he was found not guilty doesn't mean he isn't guilty. Unfortunately, that was those people's opinion. Right, Sabrina. But I think you understand that what we're talking about, he has to be guilty by the court. In order for him to go to jail, for the current legal system that we have, he gets to go home. Now, there's changes every day, and we are moving closer to a North Korea type of system. But right now, he gets to walk. Hold on. Someone else is coming through. They said no, there were 8 men on the jury and only 4 women. Okay, so 8 men, 4 women is what KK is saying, which is the opposite of what I said just a few moments ago. So I'm gonna look it up. Just let me see. Oh, okay. So Dana is also saying I was wrong. There was 4 women. So 4 women, 8 men. Don't forget that Keefe D still has to go to court about Tupac and his involvement, and he still has Silver. Don't forget QVD still has to go to court about Tupac. Okay. When hasn't the judicial system been pro-criminal, child? Listen, we've been arguing about this for a long time. Y'all know this. Y'all know this, that people know that the judicial system is messed up, and who goes to jail and who doesn't. That's always been the case. That's always been the case. What's up, Erica? Nice to have you, girl. Nice to have you. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've heard as many women on the content creators I was listening to, there was just as many women that was saying, I don't see it. This isn't, there was a lady who was an actual lawyer, and she said, this isn't federal worthy. Perhaps the state could take up this case and he would be guilty of X, Y, and Z, but it's not federal worthy. The federal government should have never gotten involved in this case. I've heard a lot of people with legal degrees or, work within the legal system who said that this was not federal worthy, that they were pushing it. They just overplayed their hand. They just overplayed their hand. Shad said that Diddy is a goat. Okay. So you are Diddy positive, Sean. Yeah, there's a lot of people who feel that way. They said that if he was being charged by the state, he would have been in jail yesterday. But in regards to them trying to make this out as a RICO, they didn't understand it. They thought that this was way too extreme to put him in this position. And like I said, if he would have been found guilty, they could have wiped out his entire fortune. His kids could be, without anything. That was really the goal at the end of the day. It looked like they were trying to freeze a whole lot of accounts. Sorry, he is not innocent. I get it. He's not innocent for you, but he is. Y'all see the charges right there on the screen. Y'all see it. Counts 1 through 5. RICO, not guilty. X trafficking, Cassie Ventura, not guilty. Transportation of Cassie, guilty. X trafficking of Jane Doe, not guilty. Transportation, guilty. That is what he has been found on. This Everybody said that they love the U.S. because you don't have double jeopardy and all that stuff, right? You can't be tried twice for the same crime. I knew that the jury was going to mess it up. Okay. But child, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. That is what is going on. Cassie's attorney quickly came out and said, listen, even though he was found not guilty, he said, Cassie is a hero. She stood up for herself. Okay. Cassie is a hero. She stood up for herself. Hopefully, what she did will change the game because the system needs to be changed. That is what her attorneys are saying at the moment. Cassie was able to get, what was the amount that Cassie got from P. Diddy following the civil trial? He settled, was it 20 million? I think it was 20 million is what was given to her after the civil suit was settled. And I think it was the night that she actually took it to the courtroom. By the end of the night, not even less than 24 hours later, that's what I'm looking for. Less than 24 hours later, she received $20 million, 20 million. And then she got 10 million while sitting on the stand from the hotel that actually had the video footage of Diddy attacking her. She was able to settle with them for 10 million. She was honest about everything. She shared it on the stand. And the bottom line is this. I know a lot of people have been saying, why didn't you just take this to the police in the first place, right? Because at the end of the day, she did participate in it a little bit. And at the end of the day, she can go down, make those charges. It is up to the police to make an arrest. It is up to prosecutors to decide to take it to court. They could have said to her, this isn't enough. Okay. There could have been a whole lot of things that was happening. It sounds like there were people in power who was aware and just turned a blind eye. But you can go get that money any time of day. You can sue in civil court no matter what. Okay. So got that house, that car, I'm leaving here with something. You see, Erica says she on the fence. You're on this fence about Cassie. Yeah, we just got to remember there are no perfect victims. No perfect victims. It doesn't mean that you deserve the things that were happening to you, though. There's a lot of people in marriages and stuff like that where abuse is happening and you figure out a way to live in it, okay? You still cook dinner, clean the house, wash clothes, all the stuff that other people will be saying, if it was me, if it was you, you'd probably be doing the same exact thing as the victim. You have to remember that it's more than an abuse of the body. It's an abuse of the mind, an abuse of the spirit. It's all across the board, period. But yes, at this moment, we are waiting to see what the recommended sentencing is. He has been in jail for over a year. Chances are he might walk. They might say time served, period. This would be considered his first offense. This will be considered his first offense. Thanks, Annette. Yes, we have to show a little more empathy. We're the only people that do this. You know that, right? And by only people, I mean humans. We will watch someone do something over and over and over again and just assume they like it, right? And then you will only, you gotta know that this is it affects everything. Diddy didn't settle. His insurer of the companies did. Diddy couldn't make that decision. Cassie was smart when she sued the companies, not him. Yes, I've said that before, that he had an insurance policy. I forgot what it's called. It's like a key man policy. Y'all can look it up. But when one of the executives is in trouble, every major company has what's called a key man policy. And when you are the one that the face of the company bringing in the big bucks, key man policies are millions upon millions of dollars, and they were able to settle out. You're right. But because of it, he had to step down from everything. He had to step down for everything. He became a liability for his companies. He has no prior record. Diddy has no prior record, and there is no mandatory minimum. It's more likely that he will receive for these for these two charges he was found guilty of, transportation. It is more likely that he will receive a significantly shorter prison term, potentially no prison sentence at all, possibly probation or even home confinement, but that will ultimately depend on the judge's application of federal sentencing guidelines. Okay? Let's see. Fabulous said, y'all are judging a 19-year-old and y'all double her age as we speak and going through some of the things behind closed doors. How come y'all still with that man? Y'all friends told y'all to leave alone. Okay. Yeah. Child. Trump was convicted. You're right. Trump was convicted of grape by a grand jury, walked out of a courtroom as if nothing ever happened. Where's the same energy? I have it, Sean, just so you know. I was actually shocked and appalled, child. I have that energy. I say it all the time. We have to be, we give ourselves a real hard time, child, but until we start getting in everybody's motherfucking business, we're always going to find this to be a problem for us in our community. We need to be in everybody's business the way we're in just the Black community's business. Self-esteem plays a part in abusive relationship. Once a man or woman takes your power away from you, you lose your ability to leave. Diana, I'm serious. My heart is hurting. I have been through abuse and told my family and myself, oh, I'm sorry that that happened to you. I hope that you are doing much better now, Marnice. Um, Listen, child, we shall see what happens next. Federal is day for daytime. This court win 93% of their cases. Yep, the feds do, and lost this one. I knew that he would be innocent on the RICO. Had this been DV, he would have been guilty. Both women consented, unfortunately. Okay. Facts. Facts. At 19, I made wrong choices, no judgment. We all make wrong choices. That's the problem. We all make wrong choices until we figure out and stop blaming people for not being smart enough. Um, we can't do that. I mean, we just can't. Jane Doe still in love with Diddy. Yes, that's what the jury saw. I think the jury said, listen, they are not perfect victims. So they said no. Um, Fabulous said that she really believes that the jurors just wanted to go home for their cookouts for the 4th of July. Yeah, that's what people were saying, that they were trying to get home. They were tired. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure they were tired. This case has been very draining. But that is it, y'all. That is the tea so far on Diddy. We will find out if he gets to go home, if he's going to serve his time at the house, at the crib, if there is any time to serve, or what's going to happen next. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I did say that there was no, they couldn't seize his assets, but if he was found guilty on transportation and he has a jet, for instance, they could take the jet. If there's I don't know if he owns a private jet or not, but if he's found guilty on that, they could take it. That's actually accurate. But they can't take all of his things, like the bank accounts, the houses, stuff like that. They can't take that. Pacino said that she thinks that Cassie has feelings too. You probably right. They both probably still have feelings. Feelings don't go away, y'all. Sometimes it takes a lifetime for people to get over stuff. And I think actually on the stand, she said, I'm still in love with him. I still have love for him. I don't want him to hurt. I don't want him to suffer. That is what Cassie said on the stand. And a lot of people didn't get it. That's why they brought in the therapist. You're welcome, Dana. You are welcome, Marnice. You're welcome. Everyone in the music industry about to live in fear. Well, let's just hope that this type of publicity kind of changes things for people, right? Let's hope. But we shall see. Anyway, that is what is going on right now, y'all. And I will check in with y'all a little later when we get some more tea. But until then, hit the like button. Hit the like button, share the video. Follow me on all my platforms at DYANAROZAY. I appreciate every single one of y'all for rocking with me. And I'll check you on the next one. Bye-bye.